Hello and welcome to the SportsGrad podcast, your bite-sized guide to enter the sports industry. And joining me, as per usual, is the sports fanatic, Ruben Williams. How are you, mate?
G'day, Ryan. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. I'm super excited for this episode because we've got a clone of you. You were the Cricket Australia Commercial Partnerships Manager. Now we've got the AFL Commercial Partnerships Manager. So we just get to talk to a different Ryan today. It's fantastic.
It's good. Good to have Brant on board. A little bit of me in him, I reckon.
Well, you made him.
Well, in this episode, he was explaining a little bit about his role, and I just wanted to fill his words a little bit. I was like, I know exactly what he's doing. So I like that. Clone of me. I think, could be worse, couldn't it?
Brant can assess that as well.
Well, yeah, and the listeners will assess that as well. I think much rather talk to Brant. But anyway. Let's get cracking because it is a good episode, great story episode to get on with. So let's do it. So I'm Ryan Walker, he is Ruben Williams, and we are two mates who met at Cricket Australia, as Ruben just pointed out. And now we help people find their own dream job through this very podcast and our online community. If you want to follow us, head over to LinkedIn, or even better, if you want to connect with us and hundreds of others working in sport, jump into the SportsGrad community.
Now, speaking of the SportsGrad community, Brant is obviously a massive success story of the community, fresh job at the AFL. But we've also got another one who's popped up during the week, and that is Michael Long. Michael has just landed a role as the marketing coordinator at Cricket New South Wales. Now, Michael is another one who's been around for close to 2 years now, one of the absolute OGs. So, Michael, well done to you, mate. Fantastic to see you have success at Cricket New South Wales, working with the BBL teams, the Sydney Sixers and the Sydney Thunder as well. So if you are like Michael and you want to get a job in the sports industry, or if you're like Cricket New South Wales who want to save time hiring, then jump into the SportsGrad community because there really is something for everybody inside. So to get involved, head to www.sportsgrad.com.au/community and you can jump in, start connecting.
Fabulous, Rubes. Now, Deakin has been our number one supporter from day dot, so we absolutely love everything that's happening in Deakin. And Brant is actually alumni of Deakin, so if you want to check out what Brant's done, he's done a bit of sports management at Deakin University, one of the great courses that they offer. So if you want to follow in Brant's footsteps, having been one of the great people who's come through Deakin and SportsGrad, check out Deakin's postgrad qualifications in sports management. Chucking that on your resume pretty much gives you an immediate leg up on potential candidates applying for the same role that you're going for. So if you want to pump your resume up, get specialised knowledge in pretty much every single facet of sport, check out Deakin's postgrad qualifications. Their Master of Business in Sports Management is the best one in Australia. So check it out, head to their website and check that one out.
Fantastic. Now, we've mentioned his name, Brant Hubber, Commercial Partnerships Coordinator of the AFL, is our distinguished guest today, Ryan. And he's another who's come out of Deakin University studying a sport management degree. And when he got to Cricket Victoria, they said to him, the resume speaks for itself. So just have a listen to the array of experiences Brant had at a very early age, straight at the start of his career. He was a casual at the Australian Open. He ended up getting the job at Cricket Victoria as a community development officer. He was a secretary of his local cricket club, the Box Hill Cricket Club, which is a sub-district cricket club. He's been the Stakeholder Services Officer at the AFL for 2 years. I believe he dropped several other experiences during the show that aren't on his LinkedIn account. I think he worked in membership at the St Kilda Football Club.
Yeah, he dropped that in, didn't he?
Yeah. Probably worked at the Grand Prix as well at some stage too. And now has got his dream job at the AFL in commercial partnerships. So well done to you, Brant. You've done a power of work to get there, and we're excited to share your journey and some of the tips and tricks along the way. But one thing to look out for, Ryan, is just the level of volunteering and networking that is required to get enough experience to work at the AFL. They don't just let anybody in. You'd really have to build up to it. And Brant lays it down as to what exactly you have to do to reach that level.
Yeah, absolutely. He spoke about it's a place of good people and great, I guess, operators. So you're right, they don't just let anybody in. I loved his insights into the day-to-day. We spoke about it at the top of the episode there. I love commercial partnerships. I loved hearing about what he's up to and all the different things that he gets to do on game day, but also during the week. So it's super great insight for anybody who's interested in this space, so you can get a bit of an understanding about what the role looks like for you.
Also goes into what the AFL looks like too. So if you look at the AFL and think, gosh, it'd be cool to work there, Brant just tells us all about it too.
Yeah.
Finally, for those struggling with networking, Brant used to struggle as well. Now he's a serial networker. His latest pursuant is a bloke over at the Minnesota Timberwolves in the US.
Yeah.
So Brant has got some excellent advice for those who struggle and want to get better, and talks a bit about the networking journey he's been on, but also lays out some of the excellent benefits he's got from it too. So stick around for that.
We're struggling on the pronunciation today, aren't we? We've both made a couple little errors there, but stay with us because it is a great chat with Brant. I promise we're a little bit more switched on when we chat to him. But let's get cracking. Grab a pen, enjoy this chat with Brant Hubber. Brant, mate, welcome to the SportsGrad podcast.
Thank you, gents. Yeah, long time listener and member of the community. So yeah, really pleased to have the opportunity to chat.
I remember when you signed up because you kept messaging me for a long time. You're like, I'm thinking of joining. And then you called me one day and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Like, I need to make this jump. And you and Nathan are two that have always talked about commercial partnerships. For those who don't know, yes. Nathan Perrone, been on the podcast a while back. And you said, I really want to get into commercial partnerships at the AFL. And now you've done it, which is why we're talking to you now. But to tell us all about how it started in terms of the job, where were you when you got the call from the AFL after these years and years and years of work had finally come to fruition?
Yeah, it'd be great to have an awesome story for this, but unfortunately, I reckon the night before I'd put in some extra hours just on the cricket committee, and so I was sleeping in a tad that morning. So I think when
to what time?
When my now manager Rosie, I think her phone call came through maybe a tad after 8 a.m. I may have been still asleep at that point. So I had to quickly just go the old quick wake up. But yeah, it was obviously a brilliant call to receive when, as you said, that was been the dream to get into partnerships and to do so in the same organisation that you're already in and have such an admiration for was it's a pretty cool call to receive.
So you're like bleary-eyed going, oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, Rosie, I'm half asleep, but yeah, great chat.
No, when you see the name pop up on the phone, like I think it wakes you up a fair bit. So until like reading the screen, yes, but then it's like, the instincts kicked in.
Yeah.
Protected me a bit.
And who'd you tell? Who'd you speak to first?
Yeah, of course. The partner was still in the room. So yeah, shout out to Selma. So she was there, parents were there. So working from home. So it was a few little victory laps around the house and just singing the message out that was going along. But no, just a close family. So
nice. So for those listening, tell us a little bit about the journey to get to this point. You've obviously had a range of experiences, but I think anybody who wants to work in the AFL would love to know, your path to getting there. So can you shed some light into some of those individual pieces of experience that got you the job now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit of a cookie cutter start, I guess, in terms of, growing up in Melbourne and the standard, footy cricket in the winter and summer. And basically just growing up in a sport-dominated environment. So a lot of, I guess, my friendship groups and my identity was built into sport growing up. And through an interest in business developed in high school, I thought, why not mix the two together? And I reckon I got into the Deakin University Bachelor of Business Sport Management course. Now, I reckon I got through the first year of uni, and as many do, you make about half a friend. You're not really engaging too much. You're just, ticking off 60s and 50s and maybe the odd 70 here and there. And I reckon I got to the end of the year and just had a long, hard look in the mirror and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm doing this real half-assed. And just had, a little bit of almost an epiphany moment where I was working some rubbish jobs, like just warehouse, packing boxes into other boxes. And I'm like, right, we've got to do something about this. So I think over the next, that was the end of 2018. I reckon from that period until COVID, just went on a tear of networking, volunteering, just trying to base all of the casual jobs that I was doing in sport and building that experience. So that started off with literally, I think it was an email sent to through our clubs, cricket clubs, just member email base saying, hey, there's a cricket coaching job going around to do some extra hours in the holidays, and just picking up things like that, getting involved with the Australian Open, the Deakin news alerts sent through a lot of volunteer opportunities. So one of those that I picked up was a Sharon events or match day volunteer role, which was essentially just mascot minding. So you're with the big Sharon footy that people have probably seen around the various venues. And I'm just walking around, just engaging the crowd with the footy, with the brand, encouraging them to take photos, ensuring that the mascot is safe, and there's not too many speckies being taken on him. And one of the great things about that was I was able to turn that into my the placement unit that you have to do. So obviously still at uni, and I'm talking to Sharon, we get that into it. And one of the good pieces about that placement, I think that kickstarts a lot of people as well. It's in-person experience. But one of the pieces they call out there is make sure you make a list of everyone that you meet and make a way or keep a way to keep in touch with them. And so any of the club's mascot minders that I'm working with as well, or anyone that I bump into, hey, can I grab your LinkedIn? Can I grab your LinkedIn? I'm just a young, hungry buck just trying to make my way in the industry and whatnot. And funnily enough, at one of those games that I was volunteering at, it was a North Melbourne home game. So we had the North Melbourne Kangaroos there, and just so happened to be that night that their receptionist was mascot minding. So I don't know whether their regular events person was out or whatever. But anyway, I've said, hey, brilliant working side by side with you tonight. Can I stay in touch? And they're like, look, really like your attitude, trying to stay in touch with me. That's a really good sign. How about you just send through your resume? And, we'll keep it on file and we'll see what happens. That'd be amazing. At that age, that's wow, you're going out of your way to help me so much. Really appreciate that. And so a couple of weeks go by and I hear nothing after sending it in. And I was like, oh, geez, I should probably call him. And then out of the blue one day, I was at the Osteo and I get a call from the membership department at North Melbourne. They're like, oh, yeah, hey, we just wanted to do a little phone interview. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't.
For what role?
Exactly. And I'm like, all right, well, look, yeah, sure, I'm happy to have a chat. And they're like, oh, so what's your understanding of the role? I'm sorry, I actually haven't applied for anything. And they're like, how have we got your resume? So we went through this and didn't end up in that role, but had an interview. And at that interview, someone else was interviewing at the time, and that actually turned out to be Taryn Boyd, who was one of my managers when I got into the AFL, and essentially didn't keep in touch with her from the interview, but actually met her at the footy festival that year, just bumped into her, and we sort of talked about, didn't work out, but that her team was hiring at the AFL, and she's like, it would be the perfect the uni job, it's casual, you can do it with union, so she put my name forward for that when they were recruiting in the summer, and essentially went in and interviewed there initially for that casual Auskick customer service role, and that's how we got in. So they obviously liked me at the interviews, and I must have said some good things. So, but yeah, from that point. It's just those funny stories as to how you just meet people. Yeah. But it was just that moment at the end of the first year whereby the switch flipped, and just so many volunteer and networking opportunities that come about by just saying yes to basically everything. I was just throwing my name forward for everything. So I did President's Cup, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. I did the Women's T20 World Cup. I was getting involved with quite a few things. Did some Cricket Victoria, casual work in amongst it, just game development stuff. So
resume packing.
Yeah, I think the interview at the time, firstly at the AFL, I think the exact words the resume speaks for itself.
Nice.
But that was just because from the end of first year uni up until COVID, just went like on a tear, just went bananas with it. So it's the only way, you really get it done. Like you got to get that experience. And so that's where it really kick-started.
And then how long did it take you to make the jump from your first role at the AFL to the role you're in now?
Yeah, so the time at the AFL was a bit of a rocky start. So I think I got the call, actually, I think it was on my 20th birthday was when I got the call to say, hey, like you're in. And then I went in for a training day.
You started working at the AFL when you were 20?
Yeah, I think it was around that time.
Gosh,
so
that was incredibly early.
I felt young. Like it's
I don't know what I was doing when I was 20.
I reckon I just dropped out of my first degree at 20.
Yeah. You're probably riding up a mountain in France or something.
Yeah, not career-minded though.
Oh, yeah, nah, no way.
Yeah, like it goes both ways because like you got to make sure that you are actually ready. Like it's all brilliant to be, you get in young and whatnot, but you actually need to be ready. And I reckon that it played into my favour to a degree in that I started and then I was actually going on, I was going to France for a month with uni. And I'd flagged that. So I did the induction session. I flew out the next day and then I came back for like 3 weeks and then COVID hit. So I probably got about 12 shifts in or 9 shifts in at the start of 2020. And then obviously games stopped, broadcast, the world stopped. So no one's got, the budget to continue a whole lot of people at that point. So they got sent home and I think, potentially if I had have actually got underway at that point, perhaps I wouldn't have been mature enough or whatnot. Because I remember in 2019 I had a quick little stint in the Saints membership department, and I was not doing the best there. So it just takes time sometimes. But was fortunate to get in when I did. Then we came back after COVID into a little bit of a more reshaped team. So it went from AusKick customer service to then sort of more holistically grassroots footy, so servicing a lot more than just the AusKick community. And then so that was started 2021, and then August 2020 I made the move across into partnerships. So I've nearly been there for 3 years.
2022.
Sorry, what did I say? Did I say 21?
2020.
2020, sorry.
I was like, shit, that's a really quick
there's too many twos in the year. 2022 August, I've made the move across. So
So it's about a 2.5 year period from when you started the AFL to when you've got this role.
And maybe 12 or 10 to 12 months out, sort of not doing anything with COVID, if you want to count that or not.
So now that because you've been gunning for this role the entire time, it's taken you a good chunk of time to be able to get it. Now that you're in it, what does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so it's essentially, I'm a partnerships coordinator. So I'm assisting the account and the partnership managers across their accounts. So not necessarily like end-to-end management or being the sole lead on any account just yet, but basically supporting the partnerships managers on bringing our partners and our corporate partners contracts to life. So whether that be helping organise, their entitlements or their ticketing benefits, that's essentially what we're organising, activations and bringing it all to life. So it is a lot of admin, but essentially, you are playing, or what drew it to me is that we are essentially supporting, one of the bigger revenue streams, which is fantastic. So a lot of emails. It's very quickly paced, particularly with finals at the moment. It's all happening. Yeah, that's it. Lots of whip docs, lots of Google Docs.
At this time of year when finals are happening, what are the types of emails that you're sending and receiving?
Yeah, so great question because it's all I know. So I'm just in the 5th week now. So it is. We've just finished the first week of finals on the weekend. So a lot of the focus is, for example, we had a Macca's quarter time activation that's just happened on the weekend at the Cats Pies game. So a lot of organising, for example, just getting pieces to the G and where are they stored, and liaising with the MCC and the agency and those type of pieces, going back and forth, accreditation, is a big piece. Those type of ones are flying around a lot. And I'm also supporting the Virgin Australia account, who have 4 major events in 10 days. So they're going to have 2 prelims with activations. They've also got the Brownlow naming rights. So they've got quite a few activations there. They've got, not the Brownlow naming rights, the red carpet, or it'll be the Virgin Australia runway.
The runway.
Naming rights. And Footy Festival naming rights, and then a grand final activation as well.
Nice.
So that little period there's heaps of that flying around as well. And then also, supporting Rebel and bringing their their partnership to life. So it's a lot of admin flying across those 3 accounts. And I guess, just bringing all of those benefits and entitlements to life.
The Virgin Grand Final activation, is that the one where they send a block of the stadium and everyone gets a ticket? I remember going to the Grand Final a few years ago and Virgin did that. It was unreal.
Yeah, that is.
And is the plane flying over? That's another activation that I remember.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
not.
the flyover has been discussed. However, it's
unreal.
Fortunately, now that Virgin and the flight industry and the travel industry is back up and running, they don't have a lot of capacity of free planes sitting around, so they don't have that. But there will be some giveaways built into it on a larger scale. So look out for that, and they have done it very well in past. So make sure you're there on grand final day to be into it with a chance.
Well, have you got any tickets?
Yeah, well, you're the man. So
look, the tickets are red hot. Fortunately, I got to be careful about too many people that you mention it to, because your phone. I've got I'm sorting out the hairdresser, like the barber now as well. So he's getting tickets this weekend and people like that. So it's
Gee, he must be a good barber.
yeah. So he does a good job. But there's certainly, but it's part of the fun of it as well. Like it's an awesome opportunity to give back. So. It's there's no complaints about any of that.
Yep. Let's talk about the AFL, because I feel like a lot of people want to work at the AFL, but we're keen to understand what it's like working there. What's the culture like? What's the office like? What's it like being in the biggest NSO in the country?
Yeah, amazing workplace. It's like, the way I see it is on the culture piece is that you need to be a brilliant person, and you also need to be a brilliant operator, and like naturally either you love footy initially or you start to love footy because you're working with it obviously day in, day out. So it's an amazing workplace. The people and the managers that I've had have been fantastic to work for. So Reece Bennett and Taryn Boyd were my managers in the play, well, not the play HQ, the play AFL team, or the Stakeholder Services team, however you call it. Amazing people. Again, moving into partnerships, it's just more amazing people wherever we go, and everyone is just, obviously absolute professionals and brilliant at what they do. So it's a great atmosphere to be a part of in that degree. Just had the offices redone through COVID, so that's looking nice and schmick, and the Marvel Stadium redevelopment is ticking along as well. So that'll only, I guess, add to the aesthetic of it all. But it is, it's brilliant, and I guess it has been one of the biggest development pieces as well for me. Like being, I guess, in there whilst you're still, learning a lot and growing a lot at a young age. Like having the industry leading standards sort of instilled into you and drilled into you has been enormous for me. So it's funny because I've been deferring from uni for I think nearly 2 years now, but it's because I am working full time, and I feel like whilst uni is certainly an enabler in some aspects and the opportunities that it does present, being in the building. And having to, keep up with the standards and getting up to speed with all of that of literally the industry leader has been, just a fantastic thing to be a part of. So, look, I'll say it. I think, everyone that I work with will say it as well, is that it is a brilliant organisation, and the people within it is a reason why they're on top. So, it is fantastic.
Hey, do you reckon, do you look back now and I think this all the time. I'm happy that I had the opportunity to go into like the CA offices for like 4 years, like actually get there face to face. And like you said, kind of learn the way, or I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but, just the process and what other people do and learn off people face to face. Like I look back now, I'm glad I had that, because I don't think, the world's never going to be the same. You probably won't get that again, like literally 5 days and have that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in my first 6 months, I was reaching out to every department at Cricket Australia.
Yeah.
I'd go and have a coffee with Alex Contouris, who was the head of sport science and medicine there, who was literally monitoring Pat Cummins' bowling loads. He would show me the athlete management system of all the bowlers in the Australian cricket team and say, here are their peaks, here are their troughs, this is how we manage them. Had nothing to do with what I was doing, but I was just like interested. And that'd be a lot harder to do now. You can't just walk up to the 5th floor and tap them on the shoulder if everyone's working from home. But
it's almost like the things like when to go get a coffee and when not to, or like Ruben and I used to do, go and get a biscuit downstairs and get a hot chocolate out of the machine. Like you just learn what's right, what's wrong, what do you not do, those kind of things.
Which days do you go to the nets for 2 hours over lunch, and which days do you stay and do a bit more work?
Exactly, that's what I was leaning to. But I'm sure like you'd be learning that right now,
Yeah, it's like I think you are absolutely a product of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And so if you are in that environment every day, then either it becomes, I guess, a part of you to a degree, or obviously you're not able to keep up. So there is a bit of a sink or swim piece with it, but you are like you're learning from the best. The AFL is the leading sporting organisation, if not I think it's nearly a done thing. So as a result, the best people are in there, and you're working with them, so you're learning their ways. You're learning to keep up with them. You're learning, one of the biggest pieces was communication, being in the customer service side of it, is that I guess you come in with your understanding of what good communication looks like, and, obviously you need to then raise it to the industry leading standard. So that just that opportunity to be a sponge and to soak in I guess the best practices of those around you is, it's been invaluable.
Totally.
We've had some pretty good networking stories on the podcast in the past. We know you're not one that shies away from reaching out to people, but is there anyone that you've met by chance who has impacted your career?
By chance? So I think that, I'll give you a really funny networking story. So one of the study tours that I got involved with was the India Sports Management Study Tour, which is a well-known one at Deakin. And my dad was a pretty decent cricketer and played a fair bit of Premier cricket here in Victoria, and played with Simon Helmut, who I'm sure you guys know the name, and he's coached the Renegades, and I think he's at the Renegades Women, has been involved in a lot of IPL teams. And so when I was in India, and I'll give you the context. I reckon my dad introduced me to him at a Big Bash game when I was like 12 or 13, and they're walking around high-fiving at the end, and my dad's like, Simon, like Helmo, and he's like, oh, Scotty, and this is my son Brant and whatnot. Anyway, fast forward 10 years, and I'm in India, and we just happened to be in India at the same time as the IPL, and we're at the hotel and waiting to I reckon we've just come back from the Taj Mahal and waiting at the lift, and there's some hold up at the lift or whatnot, and anyway, people are banking up. And I look over my left shoulder, I'm like, bloody Simon Helmut. I know him. I've spoken to him as a 12-year-old. So he obviously didn't recognise me, but I'm like, Helmut, I'm Brant Hubber, I'm Scott Hubber's son. And he's like, oh, what are you doing here and all this? And just to happen we're on the same level as well. We got this, I'm like, oh, yeah, level 6, yep, there you go. I'm like, well, mate, look, great to see you. And anyway, I go into my hotel room and my roommate's like, how's this possible? And I'm like, mate, that's pretty funny. And anyway, 10 minutes goes by and I hear a knock on the door, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I think I was getting changed. I don't even think I had a shirt on at this point. And anyway, I think I was on on FaceTime to Dad. I'm like telling him, I'm like, mate, I just saw Helmo in the lift in Mumbai or something, Pune or something. Anyway, at the door, and I go and answer it with my shirt off because I was like, I don't know why I did that. But anyway, Helmo's at the door. And he's like, mate, come with me. Come on, let's go and fix you up with some gear. And I'm on the FaceTime to Dad, and I'm like, oh, here he is. And so Helmo just takes the phone out of my hand, and he walks up the hallway talking to Dad. And he's like, come on, let's go and fix you up with some gear. So then I go in and get a whole lot of merch off Helmo that was supposed to go to the practice bowlers or something. So, yeah, that's one of those stories that to this day I was just like, how has that happened? But it's just about, like, I guess the learning there is like, hey, like if you do see someone that you want to talk to, like no one else is going to call out for you. Yeah. Like no one else is going to put your hand out. And it's bloody scary initially. Like I think that I've gotten a lot better at it and a lot more confident in myself in it as well. But it's just one where you do have to learn by like just, trial and error. So it's, but that does speak to, I guess, just like if you do call out, it's just a testament to where you never know where it can take you. So, like my volunteer work with and a little bit of paid work with the Box Hill Career Club, they're co-tenants at Box Hill City Oval with the Box Hill Hawks. And I've just reached out to their commercial GM, Pat Clancy, and I said, hey, like, I'd love to hear about what you do. Obviously we're co-tenants. Would love to hear about your journey thus far and, any advice that you give to, someone trying to follow in similar footsteps. And I rock up to the cafe and have a brilliant chat with him and just hear about his journey. At the end, he's like, oh, do you have any mentors? And it's like I'd love to keep catching up with you, Brant. I'm like, it's just like you don't. Yeah, it's just there's no limit, and of course that's not every person that you reach out to, but yeah, you got to be in the game to win it. So it's just I think a testament to where, like by chance, it really you don't know what the outcome of these things are going to be sometimes. So it's just a testament. You just gotta call it out, and you never know where it'll take you. Yeah,
you seem like I know that you're quite confident now, but have you always been confident when networking, or is it something that, like, as you said, you had to learn and you start from a pretty low base?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely something I've developed, which, for anyone out there that's pretty nervous about it all, I certainly wasn't in a position where I could just do this, first year of uni or whatnot. Like I think if I think back to that Sharon internship it was with Russell Corp. Sorry, I'll say it correctly. It was with Russell, who is the parent brand of Sharon and Spalding. And so I was doing the Russell Corp internship. I reckon when I was talking to people that I'm mascot minding with, I would have been like, hey, I'm Brant and I'm studying at Deakin and all this initially. But it's like anything, you do it enough and you just got to, bite that bullet, and you might have some pretty awkward encounters initially, but it's the beauty of it. So I think that it's certainly something that you can develop and that I certainly have. I definitely wasn't in a position where, I was definitely letting moments go by, certainly in high school and even early uni days, like quite hesitant with it. Whereas, it's something that through repetition, you get more confident with you. You know how those style of conversations can typically go. So, yeah.
And it sounds like something that you definitely weren't reaching out to people to do. Like you happen to just be in the same situation as them and you start talking. Whereas now I know that you've done plenty of outreach. Can you talk to what sort of opportunities have opened through the outreach you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a recent one, when I posted that I'd moved across 2 partnerships, fortunately, my little circle and network gave me a lot of support. And as you know, on LinkedIn, if someone likes something, it's like any social media, other people will see it. And one person who liked my post was actually from the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I'm a big fan of, the Timberwolves.
Who's that?
So his name is Terrell. Hopefully I got that pronunciation correct. But he was facilities manager. So trying to organise a time to jump on a Zoom with him from there. But it's just those things where it's again, like, you don't necessarily need to be in the same building or whatnot. You can just reach out to people, and I a good example as well was when I was still in the Stakeholder Services team, and someone actually from the partnerships team at the AFL left the team, and her name was Lily Sinclair. She was a senior account manager at the AFL and then has just moved over to a company in London called Bright Partnerships, and they support Castrol's Premier League sponsorship. And that was one where I literally just saw her on LinkedIn, and obviously people in the AFL like it. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, like, you know, you've got a super impressive career. Would love to hear more. And yeah, people were sometimes just willing to help out. Like you're not ever always going to message a Lily that's so willing to share their time and help out. But again, it's just, you know, send the message like that you can't hurt. And yeah, that was essentially one where, yeah, you know, she's been able to help from and advise me and support my pursuit from London, you know, over Zoom. So yeah, sometimes you can just shoot off the cold one and it comes back with with a pretty warm response.
Shoot off a cold one.
Yeah, well, let us know. Let us know how the Timberwolves go, because maybe we can get him on the podcast after this.
Yeah, well, he's got Terrell will be listening.
Yeah, well, he'll be tuning in.
Yeah, he's got a very impressive little career himself. So he's worked at quite a few of the Big Five clubs in America. So yeah, maybe if I come to him with a podcast episode, he might get back to me a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Lock that in.
And finally, on the topic of networking, one bit of advice for people at home who do need a bit of help.
Yeah, certainly. One piece of advice. Well, look, I've spoken about just like try not to hesitate too much with it. Like if you say something stupid, like I think that professionals in the industry know that you're probably coming into that conversation pretty nervous. So like try and think about that context of it, where it's like, hey, like you're not expected to come in here and speak as, you know, with the charisma of Gil McLaughlin, and you know, you are literally a uni student. And that's completely fine. Like people are going to know that you're not, you know, you're not the polished finished product at that point. So just, keep that in mind in that, there's no need to be perfect. And that, if you've got half a reason to reach out to someone, explain that when you do it. A good one as well, sorry, just to add on to that, is the personalised LinkedIn connects. Don't just hit connect. You know, people will get so many of them. Add a note, you know, particularly if you're not getting introduced to anything, add a note as to why you're connecting to people. And add a note to your LinkedIn connects, and don't try and hesitate, or don't try to hesitate, and just recognise your position, and it's fine to not be perfect with it.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wants to connect with Brant after this, make sure you add a note.
It must be noted.
Yep. We're gonna fill up your inbox.
Yeah. Well, I gotta respect them now, don't I? So send them through if you want. It's completely fine.
You know, when you said like when you're a student and you're not a finished product, and no, it's okay to be nervous. I remember literally getting coffees with people when I was at uni, and you're doing these ones with your coffee. You're shaking as you sip it. And it's just like, oh my God, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets better as you move.
Yeah, it does.
Not quite doing that now, thank God, but
yeah,
I can totally understand the people out there.
No, absolutely. And a lot of people just don't even reach the point of pressing send because the doubt in their mind just goes round and round and round. So great advice.
100%. Hey, let's talk SportsGrad community, because you are one of the great stories that has obviously come from the community. But interested to hear sort of like what was your, I guess, the problem you had before you joined, and keen to understand how it helped you.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, because I was obviously I reckon I hesitated a lot with joining the SportsGrad community, as you
one
touched
of those
on
ones
earlier, Ruben. So yeah, not the early adopter that they teach you in the marketing 101. But no, look, yeah, I guess why was there hesitation? Geez, I don't know. I think like looking back now, again, it's as I've just said, like try not to hesitate with that type of stuff. Like if you do see value in reaching out to someone, or in this case, jumping into the community, then back your instinct that there's going to be some great value in that chat or in this community or things like this. So I'd actually already was in the casual role, or the max term role at the AFL at the time, but I just knew that like I wanted to take it to the next level and progress into partnerships. And I think that the biggest piece that I jumped into the SportsGrad community for wasn't necessarily like from my perspective all the brilliant resources that you do have available, but more so the connections and the networking piece of it, and that's been fantastic. So just being a part of, I guess, the community of very like-minded people that are sort of all working towards quite similar things. It's what I find with reaching out to people and being around those types of atmospheres is like it's contagious. Like if you're on a roll and you're coming off the back of a really great networking, coffee or Zoom meeting or whatever, like you're pretty pumped up. Like that's addictive. So I think that the community is full of people that, are all working towards a very similar thing. So there's bound to be people in there that are going to help, continuing to spark that fire within you. So if you, again, like I said earlier, like you're a product of your surroundings. So it's something where I just wanted to take it to the next level, continue to meet more people that can potentially be the catalyst for the next step. And the community's full of that, and I've reaped those rewards. So people like E-Racer Barn, Tim Buchanan, those type of people have been brilliant to myself. So along with both of you and even just the members, getting to have a chat to them, it was more so the connections and the people within it, and I guess finding a catalyst or catalysts to that next step, and that's been brilliant for me.
Talking about those catalysts, was there any particular piece of advice or anything that another member did or said that kind of helped spur you on to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think that E-Ray in particular had some just amazing networking pieces and just relationship pieces that I've taken under my arm and ran with. So Tim as well was a recent chat that I had speaking from a brand's perspective on the whole partnership scene. Look, I shouldn't name them because I'll miss so many. I'm like, why wasn't I mentioned? It's endless really. Like the chats with yourselves, like the other members. So those two direct examples of like little nuggets that just mean the world and make a massive impact. But it is a brilliant community with just people who are all just hell bent on getting into sport. So that energy and atmosphere, I truly believe that that's contagious, and it multiplies your own sort of drive to a degree just being around it all. So it's awesome in that capacity, and shout out to those two. So they've been massive.
Beautiful. Well, I think when you joined, you didn't just dip your toe in. You bought a lifetime membership, which we no longer offer.
Yeah.
So you're
great value. Great value.
Very good value. Yeah. That's maybe that's just what I was waiting for, was the lifetime.
I wonder what your lifetime
offering.
value is now. You could probably work it out.
Yeah.
Probably
that's
got your
it.
money's worth though. Eh?
Oh well, getting paid full time.
So good.
Yeah. No doubt.
Love it.
No doubt.
Awesome. Brant, you're in this incredible organisation, the biggest sporting organisation in Australia. Are there any moments that come along with the job that make you step back and think, good grief, like how lucky am I to be here right now?
Yeah, it's funny because it is like obviously very busy and it is a hectic pace, but I've had two distinct opportunities where I got the chance to sort of like sit back and be like, this is where I want to be. And I reckon the first one was when I was in actually my induction day, like the first time I got in a couple of years ago, and we were in this long day of training, and I was like just sort of dazed off for a moment. I looked at the PowerPoint and it's got the AFL logo on. I'm like, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And I think I did something very similar when I was going through the partnerships induction documents, and was just reading about, I guess, how I'm going to work with all the different departments and whatnot. And again, just like sort of took a little moment where I'm like, this is fantastic. Like how cool is this? So it's been brilliant. Like it is a quick pace, but I've been able to take a few of those little moments just to sort of smell the roses a little bit. I had those jobs like sort of coming straight out of high school where it's just, you just know that this is not where I want to be. And so it does make you absolutely more grateful of doing something that you love and contributing to something that you genuinely care about. So I think it's like that was such a big piece of it as well, is that like knowing what you've got, and I've only know what I got now, and actually working about something that I truly care about is because I've been through the other side of it, and being able to compare that and I guess be mindful of that, of the position that I'm in, and be grateful for it. So it's good to have the other side of it and be able to know when to smell the roses when you can.
Nice, mate. Well, last question. What's some advice you'd have for someone who wants to work in sport? How's that? In sport?
What's that?
Someone who wants to work in sport but just needs a little bit of encouragement to get there, because we know it's a hard road to get there.
You do need to actually want to do it yourself. So there's a lot of, well, at least in my journey, like there was a lot of those painful years of volunteering, and not necessarily being where you want to be at other jobs. So you absolutely need to, and it might be an obvious thing to say, but you do need to be driven to an extent. But I think that just get get out there, get involved with the community and pieces like that, and just start getting a taste for things. So there's no better teacher. There was actually on the weekend at the activation, the quarter time Macca's activation that we were running on the weekend. There were a whole bunch of casual Spark employees just helping out with the activation, and they were sort of asking me a few questions about like, is this your job? Like, do you do this for a living? And I'm like, look, we're not quite running, quarter time on the ground in front of 91,000 each day, but and they were sort of saying, how do you know that it's what you want to do? And I was saying to them, like, just go and get your hands dirty. So if anyone is sort of lacking motivation or is unsure as to whether it is meant for them, then there's no better way of finding that out than going and getting your hands dirty. But you do have to want to go and do that initially, because I'm a big believer in the first hand lesson is the best teacher. So you're not going to learn whether it's for you or not any better than just going and getting the lessons and the experience firsthand. So there's plenty of resources as to where to find the volunteer and the casual roles, but obviously within the community they're coming off the trees, or they're going on trees. So it's a great starting point, the community, but the SportsGrad community. But just find ways to get your hands dirty is what I would say, and you'll work it out one way or the other.
I think it's a great point, and one that I haven't considered before, but sport is very much a self-made industry. It's not one that you can just fall into. Like, you really do have to create it for yourself. And because there's so limited opportunities and because it's so tough to get into, those people naturally rise to the top compared to, say, other industries where and nothing against doctors and lawyers, but your school might have pushed you to be a doctor and a lawyer, and then you fall into a university degree and you end up getting a job, and then halfway through that you realise, how did I get here? That doesn't happen in sport. Like, you really do have to go out and create it for yourself. So I think it's a great point to emphasise.
Awesome, mate. Well, we might leave it there, but thank you for coming in. Well done on where you've got to. I know we had a number of calls over the last, 2 years or 18 months, and it's been unreal to see where you've come from in terms of trying to figure out how you're going to get to where you want to get to, and that's where you are right now. And I know we sat on a call a few months ago. We went through a few different scenarios, and should I do this? Should I do that? How do I do that? But what if I miss out on that? And we just spoke through it, but it's been amazing to seeing you navigate your way through all those different, scenarios that you could have got into, and you've just found your way of how to get into the AFL and secure a full-time job. So full credit to you, and it's just been awesome seeing you grow from when you jumped into where you are now. So congratulations from us. We're super stoked for you, and it's just super impressive to see where you've got to. So well done, and thanks for gracing our great show.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I've got a lot of people to thank, like for you guys for supporting along the way. And you know, one I'll also call out is Mike Narain has been a fantastic support to me. So yeah, like even though I guess I've only just started, like if there's a way I can pay it back, and if anyone wants to reach out as well, and if I can play a role in helping navigate, you know, someone else's journey and where they're at, then yeah, feel free to send me a personalised connect.
Must be noted.
Must be, yep.
If you didn't say it, I was going to say it.
No, yeah. So yeah, if I can play that role for anyone else, then yeah, it's you got to have the people in your ear and the support network. So if I can play a little role for someone, then yeah, that'd be brilliant. So feel free to, yeah, anyone on the call, feel free to reach out. Listening, sorry. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks again, mate.
Good on you, boys. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, Ruse, great episode. Great having Brant in the studio. He's one of our favourites, obviously. He's been in the community for some time, and he's managed to find one of the great roles for him and his dream job in the sports industry. But what's some things that stood out for you there?
Yeah, well, working backwards from how Brant got this job, he got this incredible job because he had an incredible amount of experience. And he only got that experience because he was willing to put himself out there. But he wasn't always willing to put himself out there. Early on in his career, he kind of held himself back, didn't feel like he was that important or deserved certain opportunities. And so he had this kind of voice in his head just kind of feeding him all these messages of doubt. So one thing to take away from Brant is the quicker you can overcome that barrier in your head and that mental voice saying, oh, no, don't reach out to them or don't apply for that, the quicker you will allow yourself to take action, the sooner you will get experience, the faster you will be able to progress to your dream job. Perhaps it's at the AFL like Brant. So whatever it is you're trying to achieve, one thing I think you can learn from Brant is the quicker you can get out of your own way, the faster you will get to your goal.
Love that. I love what he said about like talk to the people you come across. Like don't be afraid to just like sing out and say hello. Like don't, stay in your shell. Because you never know who you're going to meet. And then with those people, add them on LinkedIn. But he did share a little bit of advice around adding people on LinkedIn, and that is to add a personalised note to it. He said at the end there, if you connect with me, it's got to be a personalised note, which is pretty big dog of him, but I kind of like it. But that's just a lesson, if you do come across people, get to know them. You never know where that is going to go. Don't shut the doors. And if you are connecting with people on LinkedIn, add the note.
Absolutely. And finally, lean on the community around you, whether that's the SportsGrad community or your own community in different circles. You heard Brant talk about the importance of the people who have fed him information, given him advice, given him encouragement, which has allowed him to take the steps necessary to get to where he is. So if you are looking for a community, jump into SportsGrad because there are a lot of incredible people like Brant who, as he mentioned, is willing to give back and to help. And if you want to connect with him easily, the SportsGrad community is just a brilliant place to do so.
Fantastic, Robes. Any other episodes similar to Brant that people can check out?
Yeah, well, I'm going to reference his great mate Nathan Peroni. We've had Nathan on the podcast twice because his journey is one that's worth listening to and learning from. He first came on in episode 81. At that point in time, he'd made the transition from just a local casual at a gym to working at the AFL with a few internships in between. And we thought, amazing transformation. Let's have a chat. We then had him back in episode 181, just by coincidence, 100 episodes later, where he had made the transition from Australian Football League casual to commercial partnerships coordinator at Western United and has just won the A-League championship there at the start of this year. So similar to Brant, different perspectives, but another great story as well. So 81 and 181 for Nathan Peroni.
Brilliant. What episode was I?
You were...
3? 2?
We had number 1 was Ali Durkis.
Yeah.
Number 2 was you. Number 3 was me.
Yeah. Unreal 3.
No, I was 3.
Yeah. No, I meant the unreal lineup of the 3.
Oh, yes.
Brilliant.
Hot start.
Yeah. Yeah, real hot start. Fantastic. Well, Ruben just mentioned it before, but connect with us on LinkedIn. Plus, be sure to jump in the SportsGrad community. Brant showed some of the benefits that he got from joining the community through networking and whatnot. It's a perfect sort of segue to find your job in sports. So head to our website, sportsgrad.com.au/community to join, or head to the link in our show notes. Also, if you love the show, you know the deal. We'd love for you to rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe on Apple or follow on Spotify. Thanks for listening. See you next time.